They said our town morgue could wake the dead, and I laughed with the rest until the night a closed drawer tapped 3 times and whispered my name. My name is Daniel Cole, and I worked the graveyard shift at Beech Hollow County Morgue, a brick box behind the old hospital. Bleach, wet metal, and the steady hum filled the air. We took in what the day could not save, tied tags, signed lines, and watched sunrise as if light could fix the dark. People in town shared stories. A farmer's wife swore her husband sat up and smiled before lying back down forever. A teenage driver asked for a pen to sign his own tag, said another. The sheriff told them grief teaches ears to lie. I wanted to agree. I wanted my nights to be simple. Numbers on a chart, doors locked, switches off. But there is a difference between a rumor and a sound you can point to in the dark. On my first real night alone, a storm rattled the power lines until they twanged like wires in wind. We had 3 cases, 2 hearts that had forgotten their rhythm, and 1 man the river would not return warm. I made loops through the cool room, checking temperatures and seals, telling myself I was calm. At 2:13 a.m., 3 slow taps came from drawer 7. I pulled the handle. No breath warmed my hand. No pulse answered my fingers, the core number falling like a stone. I logged it and recited my list. Metal contracts, air shifts, muscles, twitch. Still, I wrote down the time and added 1 line I had no reason to include. Sound distinct, felt deliberate. The second night I brought coffee so strong it bit my tongue and a sweater that could not keep the cold from my bones. At 1:31, drawer 5 knocked twice, urgent as a whisper behind a door. Mrs. Green lay there, 87, hands lined, a church usher who never missed. Her eyelids fluttered open, a dry breath sighed out, and silence folded over us. No pulse. The skin under my fingers felt almost warm, or maybe my hands were lying. I watched her mouth a minute, waiting for fog I knew wouldn't come. I rolled her back and waited for my hands to stop shaking. In the log, I wrote what I was supposed to write and what I was not. Transient respirations, none confirmed. Spoke her name, no response. There are rules no one posts on a wall. Do not talk to the drawers. Do not press your ear to steal. Do not stare at the mouth as if the room could teach it a new trick. Rumors run faster. At the diner, a man in a seed cap said the bodies wake just long enough to say goodbye, ask 1 more question, and fear again. I studied the sugar dispenser like it contained a map. On the 3rd night, the breaker groaned, and the lights dipped, then steadied. At 2:06, tapping came from drawer 4. Nora Wyatt, mid-20s, found unresponsive, possible overdose. Her pupils were fixed and wide. Her skin was pale, but not marble. The air above her mouth looked ready to move. The skin at the base of her throat trembled, and a tiny sound buzzed from somewhere small, like a fly trapped in a jar. No air brushed my cheek, but the tremor returned. I wanted to call the physician on duty. What would I say? Come listen to a sound that might not be a sound? I wrote what I could. Throat tremor, brief insect, like sound, cause unknown, and I underlined unknown twice. By morning, I went to the sheriff. He had the kind of face people trusted without deciding to. Bodies move, he said kindly. Gas, nerves, a little power left in muscle. I know, I told him, but this isn't that. They feel warmer. He studied me. You want me to come down to touch corpses with you at 2 in the morning? I told him I wanted him to hear it. He said he would think about it, more than most. 4th night. Rain hammered the roof until the parking lot turned into a black mirror. I unlocked the side door and tried not to look at the saw in the autopsy room. I looked anyway. At 1:57, I heard steps in the hall and opened the door to no one. Back in the cool room, a whisper rose from inside drawer 7. Daniel. Slow and sandy, like someone learning how to use a mouth again. I pulled the tray. The drowned man lay still. The same blue, the same hair, slicked like river glass. The sound had not come from him. It had come from the wall behind the drawers, where 3 hollow taps followed the whisper. There was an access panel I had never noticed, screwed in at 4 corners and painted wrong gray. I pried it open and crawled into space crowded with ductwork and a copper line that pulsed with cold. A wooden box sat further in, a wire leading up into the vent that emptied behind the drawers. Inside the box, a timer and a speaker waited like a prank too long. Relief hit hard and then curdled into something heavier. A strip of tape browned with age ran along the side. Reset by 3 amperes. M. Dr. M. Wyatt. Wyatt was Nora's last name. Coincidence stands differently in a cold room. The wall phone rang, the line almost nobody had. "You found my metronome," a woman said, voice warm and gravel smooth. "Doctor!" Miriam Wyatt had been a legend here, a pathologist who spoke to the dead like others talk to sleeping children. "Why would you put a speaker in a morgue?" I asked. "I didn't fake anything," she said. "I made time. We call death too soon. Cold slows a heart. Sometimes the body refuses to agree. The tapping keeps the living in the room long enough to notice the small return. Lazarus syndrome, I said, autoresuscitation, or the body changing its mind," she said. In 27 years, she had seen 5 come back after minutes of nothing. Rare, but real. The difference between a toe tag and a second chance is one person still looking. Only 2 names were recorded, hers and mine. "Why mine?" I asked. "Because you write things down, and because my daughter is in drawer 4. "Nora," I said, and the word felt like a step on thin ice. "She took pills, doctor," Wyatt said. "She didn't want to die. She wanted quiet. Once in the ER, she returned 10 minutes after the line went flat. They called it artifact, and I called it Nora. When they moved her to you, I set the metronome. Did you see anything?" Her throat trembled, I told her. "Then we are not done." I put the box back with the timer set only to soften the hum. I pulled Nora out and followed Doctor. Wyatt's voice over the phone, warm compress across the chest, open the airway, gentle sternal rub, count a slow 60, repeat. No shocks without a rhythm. No heroics, warmth, and time. Minutes stretch in the morgue until you can hear your bones. I kept talking to her like she had stepped into another room. "Nora, your mother is here. It isn't morning yet. Stay." I described the rain and the silver light on the steel as if naming the world might help her find it again. At 2:58, the sheriff's boots appeared in the doorway, wet brim dripping. He said, "Tell me what to do." He did it, big hands careful. At 3:03, her chest lifted, small but real, then lifted again. A pulse fluttered under my fingers like a moth at glass. We called. Alarms woke. By 3:17, she lay under hard lights, and Dr. Wyatt stood beside her, hair wild, eyes clear, holding her hand and not letting go. The sheriff leaned against the wall and let his shoulders sag for the first time in days. By noon, the diner said the morgue raised the dead. By 4, one preacher warned against meddling. Another said faith and patience are cousins. The hospital said nothing. I slept for an hour, woke in the dark, and checked my pulse out of habit. I thought the story ended there, with patience and a checklist and a box we would take down. 4 nights later, the storm returned with a blacker belly. Backup lights poured red tunnels through halls. No bodies that night, a rare, clean ledger. I made slow rounds just to hear my steps say I was not alone. At 2:22, the wall phone rang. "Beech Hollow Morgue," I said. Silence, then breath, then my name, Daniel. Nora's voice, thinner, like wind through a keyhole. "I'm sorry for the pills," she said. "Tell my mother thank you." "Tell her yourself," I said. "Come by in daylight." "I can't," she said. "I'm calling from the other side of the river." "East side," I asked. "The other side," she answered, gentle and final, and the line died. I called her floor. The nurse spoke soft and slow. "Nora Wyatt passed at 1:58 a.m. Mr. Cole, we're sorry. Your number was on a note." I held the receiver like a cold stone. The metronome was gone. The dead do not knock for long, but sometimes they call to say goodbye. I sat at the desk and studied the lines on my palm because solid facts keep you from coming apart. Pain pressed my chest like a heavy hand. Heat crawled down my left arm. The room tilted. The hum deepened into a tunnel that pulled the world's edges inward. I reached for the phone and found only the desk. The exit sign floated like a fish in dark water. A drawer opened. Someone said my name. Daniel. My mouth could not make a word. My legs would not listen. The hand in my chest squeezed once, hard, and let go of all it held. Cold, a tag tugging at my toe. A world the size of a steel drawer. The smell of metal and citrus cleanser. I could not move much, but I could knock. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound was small, like rain on a far roof. I knocked again. I whispered my name. It left my throat like a secret afraid to be heard. Daniel, stay. A calm voice said through the steel. Dr. Wyatt, I'm here. The drawer rolled open. Light burned. Air cut. Hands worked. No jolt, no blade. Warmth, will, time. My chest remembered its lesson. A moth beat at glass, then another. Rhythm. A huge hand pressed my shoulder, the sheriff. Tears fell on my palm, Dr. Wyatt's. I felt the tag slip free. Someone laughed and cried in the same breath, a human sound bright in the cold room. They called it a silent heart attack. They called me lucky. I heard only this. The morgue did not bring the dead back to life. It kept the living from being rushed into the dark. We put that refusal into words and ink. Warmth, time, 2 sets of eyes. Listen for small things. Wait 1 more minute, and then another. The hospital signed after the sheriff did, because he would not be the man who once told me muscles twitch and left it there. Dr. Wyatt locked the metronome away. Tools belong to the past, she said. Habits belong to the future. She told me about the 5 who came back and the many more who did not, and how both truths can live in one heart without tearing it. Nora is gone. I do not know how to soften that sentence. It does not erase the 222 call. I keep the phone bill in a drawer with my own toe tag, the paper creased like a palm line. I show no one. Grief is not a case to win. It is a room to keep clean so memory can visit without slipping. People still talk. They say the morgue wakes the dead. I let them. Stories keep doors open. At night, when the fans begin their low hymn and the metal shines like winter ice, I make one last round and touch the drawers and say, "We will wait for you." In the quiet, it sounds like someone on the other side answers. And if they do, I write down the time. On good mornings, I ate toast by the ambulance bay and told myself light could clean anything. The night I found the panel, I learned dread can wear relief. When the box appeared, I laughed, then hated it. Waiting with Nora taught me patience is work at the edge of belief, a steady hand and a voice that will not stop. Afterward, the town argued, but in the quiet, the hum felt like a promise kept.